Well, hello, and welcome to the Clue Bird. I'm your host, R. Wayne Browne, and I'm the author of the new book, The Clue Bird. So today, let's discuss you being president of you, or maybe you being president of your own You Inc. What, you ask? Well, I hear you. Well, let's just discuss this for a minute. Years ago, well, it wasn't that many years ago. Well, I guess it was, but years ago, I had just graduated from college and officer training school. And I was day one at the United States Air Force pilot training program. Day one. The day it's your introductory day, welcoming day. So I showed up early, walked in the lobby, and there was a big mirror. I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, wow, I look pretty good in this uniform. I've got it going. Well, I walked into this giant room and there were 100 of me. There were 100 guys in there. We all looked the same. So we sat down and there were several colonels and they all got up and welcomed us to pilot training. And so one of the colonels got up, and I remember him quite well because of what he had said. I took it very personally. He got up and said, I look around this room and I see 100 people, and I'm darn impressed. There are people in here, you guys are here from the Air Force Academy, from colleges, you're from ROTC, from officer training school. You've gone through our screening process. So just getting in this room is quite a compliment. So I commend you on that. My job is to wash you out. So I want you to shake hands and meet the guy to your left, to your right, to the guy in front of you, to the guy behind you. Let's just take a few minutes and kind of get to know one another. And then he said, because in a little over a year from now, more than half of you won't be here. You will have statistically washed out. And that is my job. And I don't take this job to be mean-spirited or to crush people's dreams. So, but you're here essentially applying for a job. You're here to fly our jets. This isn't like getting a job running the shoe department at Sears, no offense. This isn't like running a restaurant. This is a job that can kill you. This is a job that can kill your friends or kill all of you. So we really take this little over a year very seriously. And a lot of you will wash out because of medical issues. You get air sick, or there's just something that comes up physically we can't overcome. But the rest of you will leave here for different reasons. And he said, I think that I have this phrase that I use, and it's called, I tell everybody here that you must master yourself before you can master our jets. And I'll say that again. You have to master yourself before you can ever master our jets. That's the dilemma. You've got to run you like a business. You've got to be in charge of you. You've got to lead yourself. I thought, wow, that's fascinating stuff. So anyway, the week went by and I thought, wow, I just completed my first week of pilot training. Sheesh. So I had a weekend off and I went to my dismal, cheap little apartment that I could only afford on my second lieutenant salary. And I spent the weekend thinking about what this colonel had said. because it really hit me hard. I started reminiscing about my college days and my college friends. And I have to say, many of us did the least amount we had to do to get by. And whatever we had to do, we did it at the last possible moment with the least amount of effort because we were too busy doing what we wanted to do, not what we had to do. And thinking about what the colonel had said, I thought, man, that tactic we used in college will not work here. One, you might kill yourself. But two, we can't continue operating like that. It's very important that what he said about running yourself as a business makes a lot of sense. I thought he had mentioned that as a business, you have to have standards, discipline, and clear intentions. And I thought back to some of my college days, part-time jobs that I had in the summertime. And I remember working for a brick company, and the guy that ran it was an impressive man. He was an ex-professional wrestler, and he had standards. I mean, here's what you did, here's what you never did. And this was the way he operated his place. He had a discipline. You never did certain things, you always did certain things. We got the job done, we worked together, and we made this place work. And he had clear intentions. He talked to all of us about our sales last year versus our sales this year, what our costs are, what we need to do to get better. So he had really clear intentions. And I thought, man, so he ran that business like a business. Why don't I consider running myself like a business? So that weekend, I got out some paper and I started writing down standards. I thought, okay, what are my personal standards? What are my minimum standards? What standards will I never allow myself to go below? And then I wrote disciplines. I said, okay, no matter how I feel, what I'm doing, how it's going, what will I never do? You know, things like lie, cheat, or steal, or be late, or just not, or get behind, or have not a caring attitude. And then I said, okay, no matter what will I make sure that I always do? And so I wrote a few things down that I would always be ahead, help people in my flight, do whatever I can to make all of us successful. And then clear intentions. That, okay, running a business, what's my clear intentions here? Well, I drew a little line, a circle, and I wrote, graduate, earn my wings. And on the line over here, I put a circle and I write, die. And so I made a pledge to myself that weekend that the only way I was leaving this place one of two ways, with wings on my chest or dead. And that was the weekend I started running myself as a business. I started always doing what I had to do, needed to do, before I ever even considered what I kind of wanted to do, like I did back in college. So I learned that was part of how to master myself and to be president of me, of thinking of myself as an entity. And I master myself with my personal leadership, of always doing what I had to do, needed to do, should do first. So think of it like this. We were all born. You were president of yourself the day you were born. I mean, in the interim, people had to take care of you until you got a little older and more with it so that you could run yourself. But the idea was to transfer that so that you started running yourself like president of U Inc. And you're president of U Inc. for life. But you know, you can get fired. If you're really lousy at being president of You Inc., your mom and dad, parents, caregivers, family might have to take care of you. They may have to take over as president of You Inc. Criminal justice system, courts, jails, somebody's going to take care of you. So make it you. Manage yourself like a business. Set up standards, disciplines, and clear intentions for you. Are you leading yourself or are you being led? You know, people that are being led, they work because they got to pay the rent, they got to pay a car payment, they got to do this, they got to do that. I mean, they basically react to life. Whereas if you're leading yourself and you have standards, discipline, and clear intentions, you're predicting life. So I guess the answer is, are you running a business or a hobby? Because if you're running a business, you're president of You Inc., and you have clear intentions, and you know, and you're driving yourself to where you're going. And if you're not, if you're just running a hobby, you're just a whimsical person doing whatever you kind of want to do whenever you want to do it. And that's probably not going to do very well for you. So ways to know that you are in charge of you, that you are a really effective president of your You Inc. Self-leadership. You look at people that are really successful, and I guarantee you, they all are into self-leadership. They always do what they must do. What they have to do, should do. All those things get done first, every day. And then they've earned their leisure time. Then they can do whatever they want. And that's the way it should work. Self-regulation. People that are very successful, that are presidents of themselves, they regulate. They spend so much of their time doing what they have to do, should do, must do, which gives them the balance over here to do what they want to do in their leisure time, because it's well earned at that point. Goal setting. Presidents of your You Inc., you're a goal setter. You pick out precisely what you want to do and when you want it, and you work your way backwards from those goals to today, and then you have a roadmap to get you there. Clear intentions. And you lead yourself. You're not being led. You lead yourself because you are in fact practicing self-leadership. Self-leadership it's seeking the pinnacle of self-mastery. And there are very few people out there that truly are masters of themselves. And those people typically will be emulated by others. Ways to know if you're just winging it, you're running a hobby. Well, you probably don't have any standards, no discipline, or clear-cut intentions for you. You just wing it. You're just reacting to life. You're just, whatever happens. You're always doing what you just want to do, like a little kid. You're running your life whimsically, like a hobby. When I was a kid, I remember one time I got a model airplane kit. Big deal. I got the sandpaper, the glue, the paint, the tape. I got a magnifying glass. I had it all. And I started working feverishly on that model airplane. It was going to be the world's best ever. Well, I'm really after it for a few days, and then football came up. All of a sudden, I put it aside for a couple months. And one time it rained for about 4 days. I dug it back out, and I picked it back up, and I'm putting a wing on and a fuel tank and whatnot. And basketball came. I pushed it aside. I think later on that summer I threw it away. I never finished it. So hobbies are kind of like throwaway things. And so if you run your life like a hobby, it's a throwaway life. It's something we don't want to do with ourselves. Because you're not running a hobby, you're not leading yourself, you're being led. You're just reacting to life instead of creating the life of your dreams. So remember, back when I was in pilot training, no, the Wright brothers were not still flying. But anyway, the colonel told us that we had to master ourselves before we could master their jets. That was the truest statement ever made for me, because my reaction to that speech was that weekend I became president of me, president of my U Inc. So think of it this way. You need to master yourself before you can master your career. You need to master yourself before you can master being the gift in the room and the head of your family. You need to master yourself before you can be in charge of raising your children. So self-leadership is the key to self-mastery. In pilot training, I learned to be president of me. It's worked for me all through my cockpit flying days and all my business years. My whole life was changed because of the way I just think of me as being president of me, Inc., and not just a regular guy. So who's running your life? How you doing? Rate yourself. How would you rate yourself as president of your U Inc.? Well, the good news is you can change it, and you can change it quickly. Just set up your standards, set up your disciplines, and set up your clear intentions. Because that's what you would probably do if you suddenly became president of a company. And it'll change your life. So, thanks for tuning in to the Cluebird. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe. Oh, hot tip. Until our next visit, I want you to think about living your life in balance. And if you did, how would that change you?